Alarm in the streets of Russian-backed separatist-controlled Donetsk. The siren sounded after the leader of the self-declared republic announced the mass evacuation of civilians. Children gathered at evacuation points. Lines of cars began heading towards the Russian border. Sources in Donetsk told Al Jazeera bus drivers were ordered to stay and help the evacuation. Ukraine and its Western backers have for days been saying that Russia plans a so-called false flag incident which could give Moscow or the separatists it supports a pretext to attack. Russia calls that a lie. But hours later, Russian media said this was a car bombing in Donetsk. No casualties were reported, but the target was said to be a top security official in the breakaway region.
As of this moment, I'm convinced he's made the decision.
U.S. President Joe Biden said Friday that Russian President Vladimir Putin has decided to invade Ukraine and that he continues to spread false information, building a pretext for a military strike that could happen in days.
We believe that they will target Ukraine's capital, Kyiv, a city of 2.8 million innocent people. We're calling out Russia's plans loudly and repeatedly, not because we want a conflict, but because we're doing everything in our power to remove any reason that Russia may give to justify invading Ukraine and prevent them from moving.
Biden said Russia is pushing out disinformation and said Russia-backed separatists have falsely claimed Ukraine is planning an attack.
Russia has announced massive drills of its nuclear forces as tensions continue to escalate over Ukraine. It comes at a time when the U.S. has issued some of its starkest warnings, detailing how a Russian invasion of Ukraine might unfold. Russian President Vladimir Putin will personally oversee the exercise. It will involve multiple practice launches of both ballistic missiles and cruise missiles. According to the Kremlin, Putin will oversee or observe the drills from the Situation Room. As for the practice missile launches, he will supervise those himself. Moscow says that the drills will test the readiness of military command and control, as well as the reliability of strategic nuclear and non-nuclear weapons.
Secretary of State Antony Blinken made a passionate speech before the UN yesterday, warning Moscow could fake a pretext for war. He is now in Germany, along with Vice President Kamala Harris, for talks with U.S. allies.
The annual security conference was supposed to be scaled back. It was going to be a lower-key affair this year due to COVID restrictions. But with Russia's military buildup in Eastern Europe, all the focus has shifted to the world leaders here in Munich, where from the hotel gift shop to the well-guarded meeting rooms behind me, there's only one topic at the top of everyone's agenda, and that's Ukraine. Vice President Kamala Harris arrived just a little while ago, where she met with the NATO Secretary General, and she's slated to meet with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky sometime this weekend. Now, it's a risky move, leaving his country when as many as 190,000 Russian troops are moving into battle positions along Ukraine's border. But Zelensky wants to make sure other world leaders aren't making decisions about him without him. Now, the vice president will not be meeting with any Russian officials this weekend. That's because the Russian delegation opted not to come.
Former Minnesota police officer Kim Potter learning her fate in court Friday in the fatal shooting of Daunte Wright.
You shall be committed to the custody of the Commissioner of Corrections for a period of 24 months.
The judge saying Potter will spend 16 of those months in prison, the rest on supervised release. The sentence a downward departure. The judge saying prosecutors did not meet the burden of proof for the 7 years of prison time they were asking for. The defense asked for a probationary sentence, saying her mental health was already suffering in prison.
The strongest wind gusts ever recorded in England have caused widespread damage and claimed 8 lives across northern Europe. Meteorologists tonight warning of a phenomenon known as a stingjet.
London's famous O2 Arena, home to concerts and royal variety performances, shredded by intense winds that shook southern Britain. One gust of close to 200 kilometres an hour, breaking previous records in England. The west of the country was first hit by Storm Eunice, which had led to a red weather warning across the entire south. Falling trees meant rail travel was stopped in much of the country. The danger of driving evident when wind gusts tipped over a truck on a motorway in Wales. Even walking had its dangers for those venturing outside in London. City buildings forming wind tunnels, blasting those who ignored warnings not to go out.
The dramatic rescue captured on video, a 22-person crew hoisted from an oil tanker as their own cargo ship, the Felicity Ace, burned off the Portuguese coast. The Portuguese military says this airlift came after the ship reported a fire Wednesday morning. MarineTraffic.com shows the Felicity Ace was traveling from Germany to Rhode Island when the blaze started. For over 2 days, the vessel, which according to the Associated Press can carry more than 18,000 tons, left to float adrift in flames. A nearby port captain telling Reuters the smoking ship is carrying roughly 4,000 vehicles. Among the cars, luxury rides worth millions of dollars, including 189 Bentleys and over 1,000 Porsches.
Malawian health authorities have declared an outbreak of wild poliovirus type 1 after a case was detected in a young child in the capital Lilongwe. The case in the southern African country in a 3-year-old girl is reported to have started in November last year. The World Health Organization (WHO) confirmed this on Friday, the first wild poliovirus case in Africa in more than 5 years. Laboratory analysis showed that the detected strain is linked to one that has been circulating in Sindh province in Pakistan. Polio remains endemic in Pakistan and its neighbor Afghanistan. Africa was declared free of indigenous wild polio in August 2020 after eliminating all forms of wild polio.